What is going on, everybody? It's Matt Marchese, also known as Islanders Daily, your daily news from the four-time Stanley Cup champions, New York Islanders. We're back here with another episode today, and I'm going to start this video off with a quick, message and everything about, because I've received constant comments on this channel complaining about the titles. I've said it numerous times, but I'm assuming the people who just comment about the titles just click the video and just say something about the titles and don't even watch the video. But I've said it numerous times, I do not name these videos. I just record the videos and talk about the New York Islanders because that is what I want to do. I just want to talk about the Islanders with the community and see what the comments are saying, see everything there. And I don't name the videos. I haven't. If the name of the videos frustrate you so much that you have to comment 40 times for the previous episodes about what the titles say, then it's best if you just don't watch the videos if it's annoying you that bad. I'm sure you have better things to do instead of clicking on the video and watching it if you just have to say something about the title. But that's all that is for the whatever it's called, title of the videos. Now we'll be talking about some of the Islanders updates here. And the first update is New York Islanders goalie prospect Dmitri Gamzin re-signs with CSKA Moscow on a 2-year deal. So he will be back in the KHL for 2 more years, Dmitri Gamzin. And I know some Islander fans were, maybe a little upset about this or annoyed, but I disagree. I think this is a good decision by Dmitri Gamzin. Obviously, we know it with Ilya Sorokin as well. He re-signed in Russia, and a lot of people thought he was never going to come over. He did come over during that, COVID bubble season where he signed and just got practice with them and everything. And that's what Dmitri Gamzin does. He re-signs here with the CSKA Moscow to, 2 more years, and he will play in the KHL. And I think, like I said, I think that is the right decision for Dmitri Gamzin, and I think it's a good decision for the New York Islanders. You much rather have somebody like Gamzin playing in a more competitive league than the AHL, and I think he himself would prefer to play in the KHL instead of the AHL and get the experience there. And I think all Islander fans should want him to be getting the experience there as well instead of the AHL. And yeah, if you think about it, in 2 years when that contract is up, Ilya Sorokin will be about 33 years old, and then you can kind of run a 1A, 1B kind of tandem right there. If Dmitri Gamzin wants to do that, I think that would work well. He's going to be the young Russian goaltender. Sorokin can, help him grow into a player, and I think that's a good decision. Obviously, we kind of saw Sorokin and Varlamov kind of do that, and Sorokin ended up taking over eventually. Obviously, you don't know if that would happen in the future, but I think this is a good idea. I think it's a good choice for Dmitri Gamzin to re-sign in Russia, play there, and then come over into the NHL eventually. And he's been unbelievable, Dmitri Gamzin, in the KHL this year. If you look at his stats, a 1.71 goals against average, a .933 save percentage, 3 shutouts on the year, and is 14-6. And he's only going to continue to improve as a player, Dmitri Gamzin. 22 years old when he comes over into the NHL in these 2 years, if he decides to. Obviously, it's not a guarantee, but if he does decide to come over when that 2-year contract's done, he'll be about 24, 25, the same age, Sorokin was when he came over. So for Gamzin, I think this is the best choice. I think this is the best choice for his development, for him to grow into a good player, and hopefully he'll be coming to the Islanders in 2 years, Dmitri Gamzin. And I know, we'd be happy to have him. Obviously, 2024 4th-round draft pick by the New York Islanders. And yeah, like I said, he's just been very impressive in Russia. He continues to improve with the coming years. Obviously, he's bounced around through the VHL and MHL. He's had time in the KHL in 22-23. Didn't really get a full chance there. Again, in 23-24, he was in the VHL for most of the season. But despite that, in the KHL, it's kind of shocking it took him this long. He had a .937 in the KHL in 23-24, and then 24-25 is where he finally was able to break through into the KHL, and he had a .928 save percentage this year and has been the full-time starter for them this year. And if you're going to play in the KHL, I know, some people might say CSKA Moscow is a stacked team in KHL. This is the exact team you want them to be on. Obviously, Ilya Sorokin spent his time as well with the CSKA Moscow, And they have probably the best team to learn as a goalie. They've made some good goalies there. Obviously, the best team that you want to see. And I'm now looking at Sorokin's stats. Obviously, he had a 940 and a 935 in the KHL. So he's a great player. And then, like I said, obviously, for him to join that team in the CSKA Moscow, 933, this is the team for him. He'll learn, get good coaching, and be ready. And I saw another comment saying, I say obviously a lot, I do. I don't know why. It's just like that my brain activates on a neuron there just to say it. So I do apologize for saying that word so much. But yeah, so good choice by Gamzin to stay. Obviously, I know he does not want to go into Bridgeport. Who does? And I know Bridgeport might be moving to Hamilton to play in the AHL next season. I'm not sure on whether or not that is going to happen. That was a rumor that started earlier in the season. So we'll have to wait and see if Bridgeport actually does move to Hamilton. Not sure. But yeah, Gamzin going to be in the KHL for 2 more years. So we'll have to wait for him to show up. Now, next up is going to be some trade targets for the New York Islanders to maybe take a look at in the future. And the first one is Steven Stamkos. I talked about him a little earlier in the season, but he was on there again. And he's been good for the Predators. We saw him when the Predators played the Islanders. He had that goal ceremony, 600 goal thing and all that. And this season in 45 games is 19 goals, 11 assists, and 30 points. He's a great Kyle Palmieri, replacement. But with the Predators playing better hockey and the Western Conference not being that good, you have to wonder if the Predators are going to, risk it and try and push for the postseason this year. I think, if they do that, then Steven Stamkos won't be a player who is going to be traded. He'll stay on the Predators. They'll clearly want to keep him for a postseason push. But if they decide to sell, he is definitely somebody for the Islanders to keep an eye on. I think, like I said before, he's a perfect replacement for Kyle Palmieri. He does all the little things right. A veteran guy, had an amazing career with Tampa Bay. He's won Stanley Cups. So you have to think the Islanders would keep their eye on him if he does become available. Next one is an interesting one here, and it's Jordan Kyrou. Jordan Kyrou has not had the best season. There was those rumors of him potentially being traded during the offseason. That never occurred. So here we are now. Jordan Kyrou is only 27 years old. He's still young in age. But in 36 games played this year, only has 8 goals, 10 assists for 18 points, and a -10. Has not had a great season, Jordan Kyrou. So you have to wonder if him and the Blues, had a falling out when that all happened. And I think he could be a good fit on the Islanders. I think maybe the Islanders could get the best out of him, especially if he's playing with somebody like Matt Barzal. I think that for Kyrou, that is something that could really happen. And then there was a rumor that the Blues general manager, Doug Armstrong, was saying that they still might be sellers despite being right there in the postseason, because other GMs have heard Armstrong saying that they have no chance in hell beating the Colorado Avalanche. So you have to think maybe that Blues players will become available. Not sure, but Jordan Kyrou is someone who definitely keep your eyes on. He hasn't had the best season, so it might not take as much to get him. Obviously still younger, so there's that, but you never know. And the Islanders, they have money to work with a lot of players being on the LTIR. It's a whole weird system that the NHL implemented this year, but I was reading about this today. Stefan Rosner said, they can work with it. They can work with it. And for Kyrou, he's an interesting guy. He's tough. Obviously, you think that, I don't know. I'm trying to think on who you'd rather want. You could go for the young guy Kyrou, who you could keep 4 years to, he has years. You can keep him. Young guy, Steven Stamkos, obviously reaching the end of his career. So it's really in what do you think is best for the New York Islanders, and what does Matthew Darche think is best for them? Do you keep, going for the old guy who can really push you, or do you bring the new guy in, younger guy who can help you maybe long-term in the future as well? Obviously not having that great of a year is Jordan Kyrou, but he's somebody to keep an eye on. Look at his stats last season just with the Blues. In 82 games played, had 36 goals, 34 assists for 70 points. He's had a 75-point season, a 73-point season, a 67-point season. Hasn't been going his way this season, but he clearly has the tools to score. And then my final trade target is an interesting one here, and it is Rasmus Andersson from the Calgary Flames. The Islanders clearly have a problem, a sixth defenseman problem, with Romanov going out injured. Rasmus Andersson, 29 years old. He's not the best defenseman in the world, but he's better than what we have currently going in this season so far. In 45 games played, has 9 goals, 19 assists for 28 points. And, the Islanders, they have that injury. They have the open slot. He's clearly better than what they have currently. So I wouldn't mind. And the Calgary Flames have been a struggling team. They have not been great this season, the Flames. In fact, they were in that Gavin McKenna race for a little bit. They started picking up some wins, but still only 19, 22, and 4, 42 points. That is somebody who you can look and maybe decide to take a flyer on and put him as your sixth defenseman. And that's a solid decor then. I think your defensive core becomes very strong if you get Rasmus Andersson. Like I said, not the best defenseman in the world, but he does his job well. And I think getting someone like Andersson could really help the Islanders in the long run if that's if that's the path they decide to go. And then obviously the Islanders' next game, a quick little preview, is against the Winnipeg Jets. And the Winnipeg Jets are the big shock of the year in the wrong way. When you look at them, they're the President's Trophy winners from last year. Everybody was thinking they're going to continue it on into this season and be great again, and it hasn't happened. Obviously, they lost Nikolai Ehlers to the Carolina Hurricanes in free agency, but nobody really thought that was going to be a devastating blow for them, and yet it just hasn't worked out. Connor Hellebuck hasn't been the Connor Hellebuck of last season. Obviously, 10, 12, and 4 with a 2.7 goals against average and 901 save percentage. Not having a great year, Connor Hellebuck. And then Eric Comrie on the other side, 7, 9, and 1, 3.33 goals against average, 884 save percentage. The Jets have not had great goaltending compared to what they are last year. The Jets have been a goaltender clinic, and it just has not been working for them. The Islanders did lose to the Winnipeg Jets earlier on in the season, 5-2. And at the time, I thought that was, a good loss, but I lost my mind after that game. But it's not the loss you want to have. Turns out that the Jets are not that great of a team. They have a good power play, though. Good power play. More of the middle of the pack power play, I should say. 18.7%, 20th in the NHL. Penalty kill is, middle of the pack, too, right there, 21%. And, yeah, so the Jets have not been, that good of a team when you think about it. And it's kind of shocking that the Jets have been struggling so bad because clearly they're a talented team. And it's just not gone their way. I saw something before they won the 2 games is that the New York Jets won more games than them in the 17-game span. The Winnipeg Jets were 2-15, Jets were 3-14. So kind of funny there. But this is a big game for the Islanders. This is a big game for them, definitely, because if you look at the scores right now, the Red Wings are beating the Hurricanes 3-2. We'll have to see if that holds. The Devils are beating the Wild right now 2-1, but the Kraken beat the Rangers, and the Lightning beat the Flyers. You can get some points here, and the Panthers beat the Sabres as well. With those teams trailing behind, this is huge that they all lost. If you're able to win the Winnipeg Jets, you're getting 2 points. You're earning your way up, getting those points up, getting away from those teams. So it's important that the Islanders find ways to win against these teams who are not that great, and it just seems to be a problem for the Islanders. They're always playing to their competition, whether it be a good team or a bad team. They always play to the competition. So we'll have to hope the Islanders can flip that around. But yeah, that's going to do it all for today's episode. As always, I hope you guys enjoy, and let's go Islanders.